Drive charging.
All right, welcome to episode 7 of Terra Neuh 1. This is the Night Watchman.
Rubber Ducky.
The Dark Intern. The Kid.
We have a new sit-in today, the Kid.
Our first guest.
Maybe a semi-regular because we're about to lose the Dark Intern, at least for a little bit. He may still call in once in a while and be on the podcast when he can. So the Kid may be our new fill-in.
We almost have as many episodes as there are Star Wars movies.
That's true. Yeah, we're
getting to a milestone.
What's our subject matter tonight, Rubber Ducky?
We are going to be talking about movies that have to do with music. To elaborate on that, we just all saw Bohemian Rhapsody, which the Kid has not seen, but the rest of us have.
You a Queen fan?
He didn't know to go see it though, so that's
Queen
not his
is
fault.
cool. Not a big fan.
Not a fan.
But I still want to see the movie.
Yes, you
All
should.
I hear is good things.
It's
just
good
good
stuff.
things. That's
Yep.
it.
So we'll break that down. We'll break down some other movies.
Hey, wait, before we
Yeah.
talk about that,
Yes.
rest in peace, Stanley.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Stanley.
We wouldn't be talking about 50% of the stuff we talk about.
Stanley is
without him.
freaking just,
Yeah.
he was amazing. He was incredible, uncanny, all those
All right.
adjectives that he used.
Real
for
quick, everyone gets a shot at it. Favorite cameo in a Marvel movie by Stanley.
Wow.
The one where the one where in Iron Man where he thinks he's Hugh Hefner.
Yes.
He touches
That's
someone,
my
he's like,
favorite.
It's
Yes.
like Hugh. He turns around. He's like, what?
That's pretty good.
That's a good one.
My favorite one, personally, is the first Deadpool when he's doing the records at the strip club.
He's
Yes.
the strip, right.
He's
Yes.
the strip club like DJ. That's my favorite one. I love Stan Lee, but that was my favorite one.
Well, I think people started to, as Marvel went on and kids started to, I'm sure a lot of new viewers to Marvel didn't really know who Stan Lee was.
Right. But they've picked it up from these cameos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, him
Yeah.
showing up. I think probably one of my favorites was from Avengers Age of Ultron, where they're having the party and he's one of the veterans there. And Thor is talking about this alcohol from Asgard, and he's like, stop trying to scare us and pour that drink. And the next thing he's walking out, Excelsior, all drunk and everything. It was freaking awesome.
Yeah. So rest in peace to him.
Yeah, man,
Legend.
Stan Lee. you'll
Thank
be missed,
you
brother.
for everything.
An absolute legend.
So,
Music movies.
yeah,
Bohemian Rhapsody.
I am a huge Queen fan. I have loved Freddie Mercury. I can remember being a kid and listening to Another One Bites the Dust, and of course, every little kid loves We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. I mean, those are just anthems. So I've always been a big fan. As I got older, I really got into their some of their deeper cuts and some and of course I was alive during Freddie's run, so I got to be there when some of their last albums came out. I personally think that some of their strongest stuff came out in those last few albums, when Freddie was sick, and I think there was a lot of passion in his music and in his lyrics, and I thought it was really cool in the storyline of how at one point in time they didn't want to be like other bands where they fight over who wrote what or who came up with this. They decided at one point that all the music will just be by Queen. Because there have been a lot of bands that have broken up over that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about when they got back together?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that was really cool. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, I really like the story. I've read some things online about how it's not, historically accurate to, timelines and things like that. It's a movie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna dive that deep into it. I really like the story. I like everything there is to know about Queen. I mean, I was only 4 years old when he died, so my intro to Queen was in movies. You'd hear "We Are the Champions" or "We Will Rock You" or Bohemian Rhapsody and Wayne's World. So that was probably the first time I ever heard Queen was Wayne's World, and then you kind of explore it. I didn't know the story of of him until later, but
Yeah.
it's a very interesting story,
it's-
and his
yeah.
battle with, there was this line in there that I thought was really awesome. It kind of explained the questioning he had in his life when he said, like, he's like having this emotional moment with Mary, and he's like, I think I'm bisexual, and she's like, no, you're gay. Like she's like, you're gay, Freddie. And like that moment, I was like, that's probably how a lot of people like try to justify it. Like, I'm bisexual, and she's like, no, you're gay.
Yeah.
You just love me. But
Yeah, it was. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really entertaining, and the thing it's always hard with musical biopics, like how accurate is the story that's being told.
As far as the accuracy of that kind of thing goes, it's like trying to stuff a big novel into a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, no. And I think they did a good job. I don't think at any point anything was so overly stretched that it was like
Correct.
Here's the thing about making a movie about a person or a group of people. You can make the story as accurate as possible, and nobody's going to watch it.
Yeah.
You could make a story about my life, and if you shifted a few things around to make it flow better, you could make a Academy Award-winning movie.
Yeah.
But like those timelines, sometimes, like for a movie's sake.
But when you have a person like Freddie Mercury, how much do you really need to?
Well,
to change
they were
for
trying to make this movie emotional.
I don't think you need to change anything. I just think that you shift some things in time for time purposes in the movie. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But if not, you'd have to sit there and have 400 scenes of every little thing that happened if you did it chronologically. So sometimes just for flow, you have to do that. I have no problem with that because it makes for entertainment. And I don't think where I have a problem if they do something like that, if they embellish something so far that it stretches the truth. But if you have to shift some things or kind of embellish a little bit to tell the story better, I don't have a problem with that.
At what point did John Deacon, the bassist, when did he get into Queen? They didn't ever really talked about it. Was just
They picked him up right after Freddie. Like
I can't remember. Oh, I remember them mentioning him.
Right.
Well, you remember they said, like, when he's walking away, they were like, do you play bass?
Yeah.
And he's like, nope.
Because the guy that they had fired or let go, he played bass. He was
Oh, I think he's the lead singer. Oh, and he played bass.
And he played bass.
I like the way they did the ending too, where it was just full on concert at the end. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, you were the one that I wanted to hear from the most because you were certainly the youngest of all of us and really didn't live through it or anything like that. So I wanted to see what was it in the movie that you really enjoyed the most. What really stuck out to you?
I liked when they were recording A Night at the Opera, like when they went away and it's that scene where he's trying to hit the really high note like over and over, and after a while they're running out of tape because they've done the takes so many times, and they have like
that's something
Freddie Mercury, he goes over to the board and there's literally like 12 takes like running at once. I thought that was awesome.
That was great. How experimental they got with
when another time when they first sell the van to get the original studio time for, I guess that would have been their first album, and they're like doing the weirdest stuff. They're putting quarters on the drums to try to it was cool.
Yeah.
I liked when the scenes where they were making music, I thought were the coolest parts.
Right, the experimental stuff. That was pretty cool.
I liked how they approached how the band worked. Like, it wasn't a band. They didn't want to define their own sound. Every band wants to define their own sound. You want to be the Metallica or the Beatles or the Elton John of your generation, and you can listen to it throughout all of their records and whatnot. There wasn't a Queen sound. There was a Queen voice, but there wasn't a Queen sound. They never had like in today's day, like Green Day sounds the same on every album they put out. They are the same band.
Yeah.
Nickelback was the same band, but the Queen, every album was something different. They had like a jazzy one, they had like a blues one, they had the operatic one, they had like the rock and roll one, and you could tell that with Freddie as well, as he moved throughout the movie and throughout like in real life, like he had a different look.
Right.
Every time they did something different, he had a different look. He had like the rock star look, and he had like the Queen look where he was dressing in like women's clothes, and like it had that Prince feel.
They weren't afraid to take chances.
Yeah.
That was their thing.
And they were always changing.
Now, I will say this, as far as the sound goes, Brian May's guitar. I can pick out Brian May's guitar, in anything.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
played on other people's
Yeah.
albums. He has a specific sound to his guitar. And I can, just like Eddie Van Halen does. You can tell Eddie Van Halen, you can tell Slash, you can tell Brian May. He's got a certain sound. But something that I thought was interesting was the when they did the song I've Got to Be Free, and they dressed up like women, and MTV refused to show the video. I thought that was pretty, I don't know. People have been dressing up like women. Milton Berle and Tom Hanks' first show, what was that show called? Bosom Buddies, where it was all about him and his buddy dressing up as women so they could get in, live in a women's dorm and that kind of thing. I don't understand how come as late as they did I've Got to Be Free that MTV felt like that was so horrible that they wanted to ban it off of the. MTV, you're talking about, they put some crap on now, man.
No, absolutely.
Well, it didn't make any sense at all, because from what they show you of the video, I was like, maybe there was some other part of that video, like in real life that happened.
That's a very British thing.
Yeah.
The British find that funny. Monty Python, they used to dress up like women. Benny Hill dressed up like women. That is just in their humor. So it was just a comedy bit.
Yeah.
And for MTV to take it like it was, I was really surprised at that. But I do know for a fact that is a historical fact. That wasn't an embellishment. MTV did refuse to play that.
That's
video.
so weird, because think at the time, wasn't MTV getting into like spring break at the time?
Right. I mean, MTV was like real progressive, right? Like, they weren't afraid to do anything.
I mean,
I like big butts.
Yeah, I mean, think.
That was the most controversial video put on MTV in like the 80s.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that was I mean, Sir Mix-a-Lot got a lot of and it didn't.
And I thought that was always MTV's like stick, like we don't care.
Right.
Like,
We're going to push the envelope.
Yeah.
Right. So that was surprising. So I think our consensus is we really enjoyed it. I know the kid hasn't seen it yet, and I hope that you do, and we'll follow up on that. So while staying on that theme, let's talk about some other movies that have stuck out with you that are either musicals or music biopic.
That's different. A
Yeah.
musical or biopics, because those are
Okay, let's stick with
we
biopics.
could be
Yeah, you're
the
right.
sound. You want
'Cause
to
we
talk
could
about
go-
the Sound of Music?
I'm with the Dark Intern, though, because we could go off on so many directions if we did that. So I say that we, stick with the biopics for right now.
A movie that this movie made me think about, Bohemian Rhapsody, was Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap.
Such a funny,
That's not
dumb movie.
right. That is a mockumentary.
I know, but still.
But it's excellent. It's so good. It's so well done.
Turn it to 11.
Have you seen
No.
Spinal Tap?
Yeah.
Spinal Tap.
Why does it go to 11?
A recent biopics.
They don't
that
have to
come
be
out.
recent.
I
There's some
mean,
great ones.
Well, they did the NWA one,
That's
which
the one.
was cool. They left a lot out of that.
That
They
was
left
a
a lot out of
straight
that.
out of Compton?
I thought
Yeah.
the same exact thing. Like, I felt like there were some parts in there where I thought they should have had, but they didn't.
Well,
but it was
they-
a good movie.
They totally skimmed over a lot of the beef that Dr. Dre had with Eazy.
And a lot of people
like,
were pissed about
Yeah,
that.
they skimmed over a lot of
Yeah.
that. And they could make part 2 of that movie, literally.
You think
Parts,
so?
No, they could make part 2 and then talk about what happened with Dr. Dre and Eminem. Because following that movie was a whole new life for
No,
Dr.
yeah, this is
Dre.
a whole different
But
realm.
that
of
was a
it.
big deal, because that movie kind of butts up into the late 90s.
Right.
And at the turn of the 2000s, when Dr. Dre found Eminem, that was a really, really big deal
But
for
do you
Dr.
really
Dre.
think they can make like an entire movie off of that? I felt like if they were going to do that, it should have happened right then
Dr.
and
Dre
there.
and Eminem?
You think they can
Yeah,
make an entire movie?
100%.
You think so?
Dr. Dre and Eminem, you know how popular Eminem
It
was?
was a-
And how much shit he got
No,
into?
yeah, it was
There
a big
is
beef.
there
but you
is a
think
kind of
whole movie-
biopic about
Eminem?
Eminem.
Well, 8 Mile,
Well, 8
yeah.
Mile.
But,
Yeah.
no, definitely. Because, think, Dr. Dre was, like, Jimmy Iovine,
Yeah.
the guy who, I don't know what he was to Dr. He was, like, the business guy who,
Something on that,
Yeah.
like something in that regard. Yeah,
But-
right.
Dr. Dre wasn't doing anything. Like, he was in a bad spot, and he found Eminem, and Eminem exploded. And
Yeah.
no one, like Jimmy Iovine and all them, didn't think Eminem was good.
Yeah.
And then it turned, he went on to win a lot of awards and did really good. So.
No, he did. No,
But
he-
you could definitely make a whole movie about that. But that's besides the point. So
Yeah.
that movie,
That was a good one, though. Straight Out of Compton was really good.
there was a Biggie one that came out like
Yeah,
8 or 9
Notorious.
years
I didn't see that.
You
Yeah.
seen Notorious? It's actually a good one.
Is it?
I think it's actually worth seeing.
Okay.
I feel like they got enough out of that movie, enough
Yeah.
accurate descriptions and everything. It didn't feel like it was over exaggerated.
You know
Everything
what?
felt
You know
right.
what always makes me mad
What's that?
about these movies is people get really fed up when the actors who play him don't look exactly like
Oh.
Well,
way,
that's gonna
like
be hard to do.
exactly. No, I'm saying, like, but it's not even like they get it in the ballpark. It's
Yeah.
not like the person doesn't totally look like them, but people get so front. They're like, you couldn't find a like. No, there's not a million people who look like whoever. you
Yeah,
know,
like
they're-
there's not gonna be a Tupac, a Biggie just sitting around and they look exactly alike. I think if you get in the ballpark, yeah, you should be good. As long as you're in the ballpark, not like you're getting someone who looks like way off.
I thought the guy that played Freddie Mercury, he was in Mr.
Yeah.
Robot.
Yeah.
They made him look really close.
Yeah,
He did great.
No,
I mean, it's
this
hard,
movie
it's
set
hard,
the bar for.
It's hard to
getting
look
your
like
actors.
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah,
That's not an easy look to accomplish, and
Yeah.
they did it really well.
yeah.
I'll tell you the some older ones that I like that I don't know if any of you have seen is like Gary Busey plays Buddy Holly.
I've seen the Buddy Holly.
That is a great movie.
Yeah.
About the
My
you
favorite one. I have two. La Bamba.
Yep.
About
Richie Valens.
Richie Valens. It's a good one.
Yeah.
And the Beach Boys. I don't know what the name of it is, but they had one where they kind of dive into all of the Beach Boys stuff. I mean, it spans their entire career, and it talks about like their fight with the Beatles. Or not
Really?
the fight, but like their like competition with the Beatles and this whole British invasion. It also talked a lot about whichever one got in with Charles Manson and his like cult.
Yes.
And
remember
I
that.
think when he like everything had kind of gone downhill for him, he had lost like the love of his life or whatever, and he found out all this stuff that Charles Manson had done. Like he like kills himself. But the Beach Boys and La Bamba are probably my two favorites.
I don't remember a Beach Boys movie. I'll have to look back.
Was there
It was years ago.
Was there a Whitney Houston movie? Or they're making
there
like a
was
TV
not a
show?
Whitney Houston. There was a movie where she sang. What was it? The Bodyguard.
Yeah, she was in a movie, but it wasn't about
There's
her.
there's like a TV show coming out. I think that has something to do with her, but I don't know.
There's
what
a
it's
movie
called.
about Elton John coming out, and it
Yeah,
that looks good.
I
Well-
am not actually that excited about it because it looks too fantasy for me.
Yeah.
Like it looks too Elton John for me.
Yeah.
You know, like
Maybe.
with the Rocket Man. Like I think in the
Yeah,
preview
we
of
were
the
in
Rocket
there.
Man, like everyone was floating. It looks like a cross between Bohemian Rhapsody and Across the Universe. You know, like you've got a lot of out there shit, and you've got like a normal story to tell. But I don't know. I'll go see it because I love Elton John.
I love Walk the Line.
Walk the line.
Johnny Cash, he had such an interesting story, his life. I'm not even a real big country music fan, but I really enjoyed Walk the Line. Joaquin Phoenix just knocked that out of the park. Ray with Jamie Foxx
Yeah.
was freaking awesome. I love some Ray Charles.
Yes.
That is great.
Big Ray Charles.
You saw that? Oh my gosh, what a movie! And
Absolutely.
I mean, Jamie Foxx was just
I know he
perfect.
nailed it. He nailed
was
it.
perfect.
Spot on. You couldn't have asked for better. He
No.
did everything he possibly could have done.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was
They
excellent.
made a movie out of it, but it was a Broadway play, Jersey Boys.
And I've seen both.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to bang the movie, but I just enjoyed the play. It just really translated as a play better. The movie was enjoyable,
Yeah.
but I really liked.
I just
the,
love their
play.
music.
Oh sure, absolutely. The music in the movie and the play are
Yeah,
great.
I mean,
It's
I
hard
think
to-
that was one of their songs was what I danced to at my wedding.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like I'm seriously a Four Seasons fan.
really.
I
lent
agree,
itself
though.
to
I think
play.
sometimes it's really hard to take off Broadway stuff and put it on a screen.
It's a different platform for sure.
Here's a question: Who do we think deserves a biopic
Oh,
that
that's
doesn't
good.
have
That's a
one?
good question. Look at the Dark Intern
got
bringing.
one.
Okay, hit us, kid.
I think Prince needs to have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Has to. Like he has.
I can't believe it hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, you know what? I thought the same thing. I'm like, I know someone
I
soon.
thought there's a movie called Purple Rain.
Well, that was
Well, that.
him. That was his movie.
I know, but I mean, what more of a movie about a guy than he's in it? It's his movie.
That's like saying.
I guess
That's like
so.
saying Fridays.
How
about
much-
Ice
8
Cube.
Mile was
How
a
much-
biopic.
That's like saying Fridays about Ice Cube.
How
life.
much of
It wouldn't-
Purple Rain was like his life?
I thought it was barely accurate.
I don't think it was everything. So I feel like you need to.
But
give
not
one.
everything about
Michael
it.
Jackson needs one for sure. Michael Jackson.
Well, they have done one. It was a made-for-TV show
It's
called
an older one.
Jacksons. It
Mhm.
was about the whole
No,
group,
he needs like one.
Yeah.
just about him.
Seeing
Like one.
what
big film
we saw
movie.
last night, like this movie, this is my favorite musical biopic I've seen.
Really?
I think,
Wow.
yeah. So I think so far, and I haven't seen a whole lot of them. So I want to check that Ray Charles out. Ray Charles went out.
Yes.
You need
Definitely.
to.
You have to.
need to.
You'll love it.
To expand my horizons on the.
It's called Ray, and it's fantastic.
But
it shows him from like when he's a child and loses his sight. Like it's the whole story.
Yeah, but definitely. I mean, Michael Jackson. Like you could really. Someone could really do.
I think you're
gonna
see, and I don't. I was a fan, but I think you'll see like Backstreet Boys and things like that from our era.
Oh, yeah.
Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. Justin Timberlake will probably have one made about him.
Timberlake is such a talented character.
Yeah.
That dude can sing, he can dance, he can act.
I think that'll be the premise of his movie, not about like overcoming odds, but just all the stuff that he got into. I mean, there wasn't anything he couldn't do. He did, like you said, music, movies. I mean, he's done the Super Bowl twice.
Yeah.
If you've done the Super Bowl twice, you've done something with your life.
Yeah.
I've always been a big Aerosmith fan.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing it.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, I think they need one. Even the AC/DC has a really cool story. Had like how their lead singer passed away, and then they brought in another lead singer, and they did Back in Black.
Now, there was a movie, and it's not a biopic, but I really enjoyed it. Was Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg, and I enjoyed that because it's kind of a biopic because it was a combination of several different stories. Judas Priest, Queen. They took a bunch of different parts of their histories and made a movie.
Yeah.
Rockstar,
Well,
and I really enjoyed that. Like I said, it was a fictional biopic, but there was just something cool about that movie.
We've also kind of come to an end on the biopic, but I think movies that portray the road, like American Satan,
Yes,
which is not like it's not a feasible movie because it's all about like they sell their soul to the devil to become a rock band, and then they have to pay the price when it comes to it.
entertaining, just from an entertaining
but
standpoint.
from an entertainment side of it, like how they like started from nothing, living out of a van, to becoming like the most influential band in like the world. It's a fantastic movie.
Rubber Ducky recommended that movie to me, and I enjoyed it very much when I sat down and watched it.
The lead singer of this band in this movie is the lead singer of a band called Black Veil Brides. The guitarist in this movie is a guitarist from Asking Alexandria. So like they actually use people that understand the rock business.
Yeah.
And like their bouncer was freaking Goldberg.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And like
wrestler.
it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
It's if you like, and it's entertaining. It's not just about music.
Yeah.
But the music in it is fantastic.
Yeah.
It was all done by Jonathan Davis from Korn. It's so good.
I enjoyed that.
What are some other movies like that? Like kind of like following the.
There was that one that just came out with Bradley Cooper.
Oh yeah,
Star is
Born.
Born. Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
I have not seen
Heard
it
it's
either.
really good though.
I like Lady Gaga. A Star is Born. That was the 5th time that it's been done. The very first time it was done was Judy Garland back in the 50s. It was not about a singer. It was about an actress. And then they remade it again in like the 60s or something. Then they did the Barbra Streisand version in the 70s, which was phenomenal. And now,
Well, if you're talking about TV shows, isn't there a TV show called Power that's about?
Yeah, but I haven't watched.
It's basically like a hip hop mogul, and it's it's going through all this type of deal with.
is that Empire?
Yeah.
Oh, Empire. Yeah,
Yeah.
not Power.
Yeah,
What's Power?
Power is different. Power is with like all the crime stuff and the low key government stuff. Like all that's happening. But with Empire, it's more like hip hop and who's at the top.
Yeah.
What's going on with the new artists, how they're picking new artists, and there's a lot of like behind the scenes
Record
stuff.
label, right?
Yeah, it's like a record label, so it's like kind of going through the lifestyle of someone owning a record label. And
Okay.
Really good.
Do you think that sometimes these stories would be better told over a TV series versus a movie?
Yes.
I think Bohemian Rhapsody would.
Some of them can.
And I think with the development of Netflix and HBO, doing all these series and stuff like that, you may see more like that. I know that CMT tried to do a show.
Nashville.
No, they tried to do a one that was actually about the what they call the $1 Million Quartet. It was when Sun Records first opened back in the 1950s, and they signed Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash. What's his name? Come on, somebody!
He was a
Great Balls of Fire.
Let's see.
I hate
Wish I could remember.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Boom,
They had
boom,
all
boom.
3 of them,
Winner.
and then so they tried to do a show about how Sun Records got their start, and then eventually what happened was as Elvis and Johnny Cash and Jerry Lee Lewis got bigger, the big record labels from Hollywood came in and stole them.
Yeah.
So the story is basically about how this little mom and pop record label got screwed by the big guy.
Yeah.
You know, coming in, taking
Yeah.
them. And it was really good. The actors that they had play Elvis and Johnny Cash and stuff were really good.
I think there could, on that topic of record labels, I think if they gave a movie or a show to Marvin Gaye in Motown Records,
Mhm.
I think that's a whole, that could be a
Motown
whole,
would be awesome.
I think doing an entire one on that would be awesome.
Oh, all of them.
And you know
Gladys
what?
Knight.
Yeah.
That
That's
music,
good stuff.
that
That's good
music
stuff.
era is like, that era of music and how it's changed the culture is insane. I think they actually could do a movie on that.
Oh yeah, if you're talking about locations, think of what you could do in New Orleans.
Oh, man.
Jazz
Oh, man.
Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
You could give a really
It's-
good.
That would be fantastic to do something like that on jazz.
I love jazz.
Yes.
Man, years ago, I worked at Walt Disney World and I worked at Pleasure Island. It was an island that had several nightclubs on it. And one of the clubs was the Jazz Company.
Yeah.
And I used to love being assigned to that club. First off, the crowd was real laid back. All right, so you didn't have to deal with a bunch of drunks getting in fights like you did at the rock and roll club or
Right.
at the disco club.
Mhm.
But the other part was it was just amazing. They would bring in the biggest names. That was always the thing I loved about the Jazz Company, is because, you know, the other clubs would bring in, you know, local bands or some smaller known bands. The Jazz Company would get some actual legit
Yeah.
jazz performers, man, and you could just sit in there.
Yeah,
and it was
when
just
you hear someone play jazz music who's like really good at playing jazz,
Yes.
it's like unreal.
Love it.
It's like
Live
but
music is the
there's
best.
just so many in this genre. I kind of hope they make these types of movies forever. There's so many people I want to see, like Louis Armstrong, like people you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
even
Yeah.
think about. You know, like that's probably one of the golden eras of music for sure. And the music reflects how society was moving at the time.
Sure.
There was a lot of passion in the music. There was a lot of confusion and conflicting opinions in America at the time, and it breeded like this unbelievable sound that I don't know if we've really.
Did the
Some-
Dark Intern just grow up in front of us?
If you
It's
give me
that-
time,
Is that
that's
what
some
just
deep-
happened?
No, I
You
can.
just
deep
got
thoughts.
real-
I was
No, no,
waiting
no,
for
'cause
his
I
voice
can-
to change and he starts sounding like
No, no,
he
no.
finally hit puberty or
It's
something.
I could talk about.
was
I
awesome.
could talk about music all day. Music is like one thing I know
Oh,
a lot
That's
about. so-
you and
Yeah.
me both. Love music,
So
always.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
We did have a fun experience this
Yeah.
evening.
Yeah.
We all decided, because it is the Dark Intern's last week with us here, we decided to take him out and we took him to an escape room. So why don't you tell us about that? What was your experience? Because I tried to get the scariest one, because we know the Dark Intern is not a big fan of spooky
yeah,
things.
I'm about to go home to my one-bedroom apartment.
He's gonna be
With the
hiding
lights
under the
on.
covers tonight.
So
Yeah, that was fun, man. That was one
Yeah?
of the funnest things I've done in
Yeah.
a while. We got into the first room and like blew through it, like breezed by it.
Without the lights.
They
Yeah,
were
they-
supposed to give us flashlights and they didn't, and then they had to come
well, no,
in
they
like
gave us some. They just
It
didn't have
didn't
any
work.
batteries.
yeah, they come over the intercom like, yeah, we're coming in
We
there.
gave you the wrong flashlight.
We were sitting there opening them
and
up.
we still figured it out,
Yeah.
or we were in the middle of figuring it out when they gave us
Yeah.
the new flashlights. Like we
So-
were blowing through that.
So
part.
we got past first room, and then we hit this room with like 500 clocks in it, and
came to a
it
fucking
went to a
standstill.
but after some help, we got a little help through the whole ordeal. We finished it in roughly an hour.
I will say the room was well put together. I really
Yeah.
it was very challenging,
It's-
and without help,
Probably the favorite one that I've done so far. and I've
it was
done
good.
several.
I'd like to go back and do it again and not let them know.
So-
like just like blow through things.
Yeah,
like,
like-
oh, how did y'all not figure this out?
No, we don't know.
Do it like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just like knock
Yeah,
it out.
one time this group came in and did it in like 15 minutes. Yeah, no. It was. Thank you guys for taking me. I was really
But it
fun.
was-
I didn't even like know what those were until you brought it up. So I'll have to.
Yeah, and that one was. We've done some that weren't creepy. That one was.
Right.
That's the one that was. That's probably the creepiest
They're
one
not-
I've ever done.
That was.
They have different themes. Some of them are, bank robbery themes, and some of them are
That's the one I want to do.
Yeah.
The bank robbery one.
spy
Come on.
themed and different stuff like that. So, yeah, there's a lot of them, but it was a lot of fun. We really enjoy going through those kinds of things, and it's amazing how your mind starts working when you get in a situation like that, and you start going off on these weird tangents.
The clocks,
like you start
the clocks
counting,
was easily the best one, man.
You start counting every scratch on the wall.
No,
right?
we were saying some crazy things.
All right, man.
Clocks.
Look at all the clocks that are turned this way, and see what their numbers are. And look at the clocks that are turned this way.
Count the buttons on the bottom.
count the
and on the
buttons.
top.
In our defense, we actually did what we were supposed to do to figure out the code, but
It
I
took
don't
us a
know. We
while.
didn't get it right away, but then later on we got it. So
My favorite part of the whole thing, though, is there was this one part where there was a key frozen in an ice cube.
That's part of
And I'm out in the hall in one of the other sections, and I come in, and as soon as I step in the door, Rubber Ducky takes this ice cube and just Gronk slams it on the ground, trying to break the ice so he can get into the cube. And the ghost in the room comes over and goes, "That's a good way to lose your key." What he didn't realize is on the stove, there is a pot of water that you can drop the ice cube in and it'll dissolve.
Freaking
No, I told you
over here,
I'm like Spike it,
like,
step on
fuck
it.
it, bro. It's like, throw it on the ground. We gotta
Just
get
come
that
on,
key
come on,
out.
spike it.
I found a knife. I found a knife in another room, and I'm like stabbing it. Like we're just like.
You just gave the knife. You're like, here, take this.
You
We're
don't
gonna need this.
understand.
I'm like, what are we doing?
My-
You do not understand how hard he was stomping on the key. He's literally like Antonio Browns it, like full-fledged. It flies in the corner like ricochets off something.
My favorite part though was when we got the one of the doors open, and my wife, she's just like, "I'm not going first." And it's like, well, I'm glad to know that we're all gonna die first.
She said
in a
she
real
herself,
situation.
What room was that?
She said to hell with the rest of us.
She
Yeah.
risked our
Well, no.
safety
Right.
and health.
No, it didn't.
It was a fun room.
Yeah, that was good.
Dark Intern,
Hey,
final
man.
thoughts, anything?
It's been a fun, really, really fun couple of I don't know how many we did. 8 or 9? I don't know.
7.
7? Yeah, it has been really fun. Sad I have to go.
We are too. We're gonna miss you.
Yeah, thanks for
We hope you've
having
learned
me
some
on.
stuff here.
Yeah, man, definitely. But thank you guys for having me on and everything. You helped me out. Doing work, real work in the when we're actually working. We do work here sometimes. But yeah, thank you guys. It's been a lot of fun.
We've enjoyed having you.
sure
Next
you come
time I
back.
get an Outback gift card, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, man.
Just make sure you get
We're
chicken
just-
tenders.
just-
Take a picture.
How
and
about
let
you
us
just
know.
use it for yourself to test these chickens? Then you're not even losing any money.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm just gonna go get some from Outback and send them to you to Daytona.
Frozen.
But I'm not gonna put
Dry
I'm not
ice.
gonna put dry ice in
Ew.
anything. I just want it to be gross when
Moldy
you get
chicken,
it.
that's
So the
disgusting.
next time you go to Outback for fucking chicken tenders, you'll remember that box of gross maggot filled.
Kid, final thoughts.
Dark Intern, man, it's been a great run.
Yeah, man.
Real cool people. Glad to meet you. Glad you enjoyed everything. We kind of came in basically at the same time.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Sad to see you go,
Yeah.
but
But I love to watch you leave.
Yeah. Crazy. Do an escape room. That's good brain skills.
it does get your mind going.
like it's
actually.
critical thinking.
Team building.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's team building,
Yeah, you could do that with like an office.
No more drinks in
I
the
did
studio
that for you. All right, well, that's episode 7. Peace.